You came upon the ruins of Silar, the unseeable city, and thanks to the enchantments of a certain cabal of witchly sisters, you were able to see the unseen city through these illusions that helped make sense of what you were seeing. A terrible battle ensued. A distraction was made, but unfortunately, it unfurled upon itself, as it seems that their leader, an entity known as Durham the Emerald Eye, a corrupted storm giant, uh, seemed quite interested in befalling Emon into the sea. Um, there was, I believe, from Glint mostly, there was an attempt at diplomacy, trying to turn him from the dark side, but he seemed quite zealous in his want to collapse the city of Amon and begin a reign of terror for the Aboleths to make them the true rulers of the world. A terrible battle ensued that was very dangerous and involved Yvain sacrificing her eyes to an unknown entity known as the Sightless One. Upon sacrificing her eyes, or lending them, I should say, she was granted terrible power, which she used to, which she didn't use. The entity through her like a medium or a conduit, as if Yvain were the wand and the creature were the caster. Spilled forth incredible powers. And in the end, Yvain's eyes were returned to her, but some modicum of power from this creature was left behind. An appreciation for the bargain struck. Thank you. It was a terrible battle where great powers were brought to bear, but some dozen aboleths and this incredibly powerful psionic storm giant were brought to heel, and this milky white sort of magical shield upon Silar that allowed them to block communications, to block the tremors in the earth that they were creating, to do all kinds of things that shrouded their dealings, was destroyed by the party, and thus Silar is much more easily accessed now. You will return to dry land, you all had your rest, and were visited upon by Bahamut the Platinum Dragon, the god of protection, who thanked you all on behalf of the many lives in Amon that were saved by all of you in your brave sacrifices, and imparted upon you certain magical benefits, but more than that, the way to return home. And so as you all arose the next morning, some of you having a little feeling of having this sort of very surreal divine connection, you placed your hand upon the small platinum dragon altar and find yourself now in a very familiar place. No longer dripping wet, but standing in front of your home base, the Rousing Spark, as quick as can be, and feeling maybe a little breath of relief that you have returned back up top, your ears popping from the pressure, but otherwise no worse for wear. At least most of you no worse for wear. It is also worth noting, it's a very important fact, that in the course of the battle, the head researcher, the head archaeologist that you were said to aid, sort of in a moment of terror, utilized the power of a spell scroll to escape the situation and has not been heard from since. Romantosh sort of made a departure from the party midway through the battle out of fear. And here you are, leveled up, powered up, and at home. Yes, you may.
What time of day is it? Are we outside? Are we like blinded from being underground for so long and then being in
I
the noonday
wouldn't,
sun?
I wouldn't use the word blinded. It's only been a couple days, but certainly like there's a moment of adjustment. Let me get the weather for you guys real quick. It's partially cloudy, but still enough to. Yeah, you guys appear. All of you are like, and then take out your Ray-Bans and pose for the camera and make a little royalty money. And as the sun sort of your eyes adjust, you find yourself standing outside the Rousing Spark, thanks to none other than the Platinum Dragon. So.
Thank you, Bahamut. Let's go let your mom know that, the world's not ending today.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea.
Glint, the mirror elf. Should you let the mirror elf know that Emon's not going to fall into the sea?
Oh, right. Let me untie the rock. And Glint's gonna fish out the mirror and untwine the rock from the surface of the mirror.
Okay.
And give it a little tap and see if a connection can be established.
A connection can most certainly be established simply to get 3 of those a day. And lo and behold, as you find yourself there, you see sorting through some parchment. You do indeed see the voice of memories herself. She isn't aware of you at this time. She's sort of facing another direction. She's sitting at her desk, but there she is.
Ulavathe.
She will sort of be surprised, and I'll say take inspiration for that, Glint, with good use of the elven language. She'll turn around a little surprised, and she'll smile and say, Ulavathe, Mr. Grimhelm, it's good to hear from you.
Lady Oystra, likewise. Did you happen to get any messages while I was away on this mirror? There was a rock on our side of things. I just wanted to clear things up if you did receive that little away message.
A rock on your side of things? Is that like a dwarven turn of phrase?
No, it was literally a tablet.
Oh, there was literally a tablet. No, I'm sorry. I've been quite consumed with my duties, but I hope everything's all right.
Yes, everything is quite all right. Nothing to be concerned about now. I had simply left a message in the case that I was gone an undue length of time. But
I see.
Yes, but the Concordant is quite well. All is well. Emon is safe. I do hope you yourself have been in good health, and that Singorn is not trying your patience of late.
No, by no means. But I would like to say, Mr. Grimhelm, you have spoken much of your companions, and that you are a skilled adventuring company. Yes.
Yes. I would say that we are. Do you happen to have need of our services?
Nothing terribly immediate, but I do know adventurers are always looking for help, and I admit this mirror has me intrigued. I'd be very interested to make your acquaintance and to give you more of a reason to make such a trip other than just to meet an old elvish woman. Perhaps there's 1 or 2 things that the wardens of Singorn might have need of a skilled adventuring, such as yourselves, perhaps.
Interesting. I will be certain to pass that on and bring that up at our next meeting. It may well be that we do have some pre-scheduled appearances for the next month or so, I believe. But after that, we may make haste to Singorn all the faster.
By no means, take your time. What I have for you will hopefully be within your approval of payment, but it is nothing immediate that you need scramble to be here for. Please take your time, but know you do have an invitation awaiting you, and should you wish to pass through the gates of Singorn, you need merely tell them of the Aurora Concordant.
Well, I admit I am extremely curious about what potential job you might have to entice us in such a way. If you're willing to part with perhaps a small spoiler.
Make me a persuasion check.
Alrighty.
I'll say take the advantage per your very formal hello. You're very cordial towards her, and I think that rubs her the right way.
Alrighty. Not bad, actually. With advantage, that's a 17 on the die, plus nothing, so that's a 17.
A 17, fantastic. It says, oh, I'm certain you would wish to be intrigued, but I would actually tell you That's this work that requires doing doesn't come from me specifically, but comes from the verdant Lord Selendar himself. He has need for skilled individuals. Apparently, there's something happening in the forest that requires attention. I do not know much details past this, but I hope that will satiate your appetite.
It does. I hope things are well in the woods.
Oh, you know how these military types perhaps are. Everything is a great issue that needs resolving immediately, and even a squirrel caught in a tree requires some quick interference. So, by all means, take your due time. Should you find yourself near Singorn, I would be very happy to host you in your farm.
Excellent. There was some measure of a tournament here in Emon. The exact scheduling is unclear to me, but I believe we were planning to attend and compete. Now, once that is done and the training is over, and we hopefully have prizes in hand, perhaps that might be one of our next destinations. I'll certainly argue on your behalf.
Well, you are a dwarf, and we are of the longer-lived races, and as I'm sure you well know, we elves are quite the patient creatures, so by no means feel that you are taking too long on our behest.
Of course. Well, thank you for extending such a generous offer our way. And I do hope that, personally, you've also been in good health and spirits.
Most certainly, you're kind to say it to us. And it sounds that things have gone better for you in your company, which is good to hear. Very good to hear.
Yes, everything that seemed dire seems to be, at least in the moment, contained.
I'm glad to hear so.
On arriving in Singorn, should we bring any, well, at least, in Craghammer, it's customary to bring some sort of housewarming gift whenever you're receiving hospitality. I'm not sure if there's a similar concept in Elven culture, but if there's any books outside of, non-Elvish scripts that you're looking for or anything similar, I'd be happy to see if we can bring it along.
You are kind to ask, and I am certain any gifts of appreciation would not go unwarranted.
Excellent.
Or unappreciated. So you're kind to ask, Mr. Green. It is refreshing to meet, I hope you don't mind my saying so, but your people can be somewhat rough, and that is not necessarily an insult, nor that was meant to be. But you seem to have quite an acumen to your speech, and I'm intrigued to meet you, sir.
My people do have a tendency to be set in their ways, much like stone, I suppose. But I do try to be more on the academic side of things. Well, I will be certain to bring this up to my companions as soon as possible. And in the meantime, I do hope you stay well, Lady Waestra.
And she will bow her head to you in thanks, and she'll say Ulavate.
Ulavate.
With that, the mirror will sort of wave ever so slightly, like the ripples of water, until the glass pane returns to normal.
It seems that she never got the message, which is probably a good thing now that it's already been resolved.
Honestly, yeah, but still important to check in.
Also, it seems that Singorn might have a job for us in a professional Aurora Concordant capacity.
Insert Zarvolg saying something shitty about Singorn. That sounds kind of lovely, actually. I mean, we certainly have invitations to go places.
Indeed, it doesn't seem to be anything immediately pressing, but apparently it's from the Verdant Lord, so sort of coming from high up in the chain of Figures present.
Well, we should consider it after breakfast.
Excellent.
Okay. So you guys enter, and I'm sure maybe you already have entered in as Glint's talking on his cell phone, just having a good old time with some old friends. As you walk in, you are going to see that the first and foremost, you're going to see what you're not going to see first and foremost is the sparks of Emon. They are not there, not any one of them, which is not entirely usual. You're also going to see that there is, there's some people working around in there, but it's a little lighter company in here, except for some key individuals. You are going to see a couple of the Andegardes in here, actually, sort of near the bar. And it very much has the essence of a, like, oh no, like families coming together because something bad has happened. You know what I mean? You guys would see, oh shit. I just got to sort out all my people. So you're going to see Kingsley. You're going to see Kingsley and Wyatt Andegarde. Actually, not Wyatt. Wyatt's not there. You see Xander and Kingsley are both there. And Emma's sitting at the bar too, and she's having like some brandy or something like that. And they're very much like, Kingsley is like, Finch is very, very smart, very, very capable paladin, and has Bahamut at their back. I have no doubt that whatever danger they're in, Finch will know the way forward or do what is best in the name of Bahamut. And Emma sort of goes, "Oh, but my boy Ember, he's out there. And
He's
he needs
home."
help." And she kind of, Ember, oh my God! And she'll hop up from her seat. She'll throw her arms around you, Ember, and be a little teary-eyed. She'll be like, "Ember, I'm so worried. I received the message from I got the." And she'll see Glint. She'll go, "From you, you sent the message. Oh, thank you so much. Is everything okay? Something about the city falling into the sea. I was so worried." And she's a little hysterical.
Oh, right. That's not happening anymore. The false alarm.
No, it's a false
No,
alarm.
it was an
Handles.
actual
Very
alarm.
different. No.
Our bad. Our bad.
Actually, I did it on a bet. I'm sorry, I lost a bet. I have to tell you that.
That's my B.
Hilarious.
Damn, Glint's on fire today. You guys, psych. Yeah, she says, "So everything's okay? Everything's all right. I did what you said. I sent word to this Allura Viceuran woman, and the Andegardes came here when they got the news. Oh, they're so kind." And I think at that point, Kingsley's at the bar. He's like, he goes, "Oh, for Bahamut's sake," and he like shoots back the rest of the brandy that Emma was shooting. And I think Xander comes up to you and Finch and like punches you in the arm. He goes, "What are you doing ringing the alarm bells like that?"
It was warranted.
It was warranted. But everything is better now. It's better now.
I'm glad to hear it. You set quite a. I don't mean any. As Ember's he sort of glances in Ember's direction and sees that Ember's a little consumed with Emma, so he'll allow himself the quip and he'll say, "Well, you kind of set a wildfire."
So funny.
Yeah,
it is quite the tale to tell.
In that moment, the door will fly open again, and you're going to see, dressed in his accoutrement that he would be expected to wear, very, very nice, fine clothing, since he is a member of the delegation of Emon. You will see Gabriel Andegarde enter the tavern. And he says, "Kingsley, I need to talk." And he sees the party and he goes, Finch, you're back."
And I'll like go up to him and I'll like give him a hug.
Yeah, he'll hold you really tight. He'll grab you with a sort of like you're gonna be like, oh hey dad, how's it going? He grabs you with like a, he's a pretty stern, sort of prideful, very collected man. His nerves of steel. He was a soldier. But he grabs you with an intensity that you haven't really felt before, like with a fear and it betrays his worry for you. And he says, Finch, you're back, and he'll then kind of pull you back and look at you and say, you all right?
I am, father. He appeared to me, Bahamut, to us.
He'll look around to your brothers, who will all have a sort of wide look. No real sarcasm from them. They're pretty consumed by that. And the father will say, he appeared to you, how so? Tell me everything.
It was in a, and I'll like kind of look to the group to try and like see like how to explain like in a vision, in a shared vision. He appeared to us. It was everything that I've hoped for. Yeah, it was an incredible sight.
All the three Andegardes, like, I don't think like nobody has like any of these for like all the gods, there's no crossing yourself, but I think they all do touch their amulets. I think that would be like partially similar. They all do sort of touch their amulets and sort of look at you, and I think are all reminded in this moment by the importance of your birthright, Finch. You say, by the Platinum Dragon. And they'll look around at all of you and go, magnificent, you must have done a great deed when you were down there in the depths. And you must tell us everything. And at that point, I think he'll sort of like look around at the whole, because he's impressed by the whole group. Everyone at the vision too. And in that moment, who's got high passive insight? What do we got? What do we got on high passive?
I think Yvain does, I think.
Yvain's pretty good.
It's 23.
23. Ember, what do you got?
I got a 12.
12.
Ember does not have the insight material that Giassi has.
I'm going to give it to you anyway, Ember, because it's your mother. There's a moment where Gabriel and Emma sort of like catch eyes, and there's like just like it's a half a second. So they sort of like catch eyes and they kind of like notice one another, and then Gabriel, probably trying not to stare or be weird or anything, he kind of like continues to speak, and only you two will catch it because you know your mother well, Ember, and you kind of see this. And Yvain, you certainly so. He says, "Well, let's get some seats. I certainly wish to hear everything." And he'll look at Xander and says, "Xander, could you to the palace?" And Xander goes, "Oh, I don't get this." Okay, yes, of course. And you get he wants to hear the story, but he flies out the door and mounts to mount his horse.
Actually,
and then
I'm going to suggest that we retire upstairs.
The tactical suite. Yeah.
Most certainly, if that is okay with the host or host. If Ember, this is your tavern. Of course, yes. Right this way.
It's my mother's, but I'm at home here as well.
I see. Well, you must give her my thanks. And Emma will say, "And you have it, sir." Oh, well, thank you very much, madam. And he'll bow his head very gentlemanly, and then everyone will make their way up the stairs out of the common area to the tactical suite, as it has been dubbed. And Wyatt and Gabriel, and I think Emma wants to hear about it too, because she's been put in the middle of it. All head upstairs, and you guys all grab seats. Emma tells one of the barmaids to bring a round of brandy or something strong, and you all grab some seats, and they will be happy to hear of your tale. Who will take the head of telling the tale of the ruins of Silar?
I'll do it. Or unless Ember's better suited to it, really.
It's 6 1/2 does another. You probably have a better hand on the academics material, and
Other.
you
I love
should.
Yamin's flavor of storytelling.
So why don't we say it's up to you two. One of you can roll an advantage, or both of you can roll performance checks.
If it's performance, we're going to give that to Ember.
Okay. Ember, you may go ahead and roll a performance check at advantage, as Yvain will have input on the academics of things, but you will be the artist of the tale.
Oh God, I have it, so I'm spending it.
Oh no.
Yes.
Yeah, would you like to tell the tale at all, or?
Yeah, but I'm gonna go for the. I did have inspiration, and that was a good spend.
That was a great spend. Sheesh.
Whew,
We turned it around.
Absolutely. We entered into the districts under Emon, following the guidance of Tosh and his purloined journal, and we found some interesting things along the way. There is a not entirely played out mine that may be of interest. Not entirely unpeopled, but certainly of interest. Beyond there, as we approached the depths of the Crystal Fent Caverns, there was a great deal of instability, in that items that would seem like plants, trees, grasses, but would have textures of flesh or sharpened crystal or thorns, entirely not in keeping with their appearance. We also encountered some difficulties in that space with, branches and roots that were tentacles or appendages of various creatures. We met several Benzians, including some Umber Hulks, which are these large carapace, kind of beetle-like bipeds, and largely through combined joint action, we were able to thin that number rather significantly. This in turn bought us some good graces of I hesitate to use the word coven, but I will, of hags of some sort, perhaps, or witches, or some community of a pair of sisters, who were able to shield our minds against the turmoil of the city of Silar. We were able to pass from there into the immediate precincts, and pass beyond the doored gate into Silar itself. there we encountered what would have been the doom of Emon, and I use that with all due gravity. There were and Ember will look to Yvain, what do you call a group of avaleth? Yeah. In a
No,
clutch.
it's known that there were a dozen of them. Yeah.
School?
A dozen avaleths and a corrupted stone seer.
There are a series of stone pillars beneath the floor of the ocean off of the Emon coast and somewhat under our immediate feet here. And the avaleth had shielded Silar from detection and communication, and they were in the process of sundering those pillars, which would have caused a cascade of Emon slipping directly into the sea, which was the stated intent of this particular threat. They wanted to force the hands of the gods to weaken the gate, to force them to step up and step forth so that they might be put down. Through trickery and some brute force and no little personal sacrifice, we were able to disrupt the arcane annulus that they were using to shield themselves, the destruction of which had significant negative impact on the aboleths and the corrupted giant. Those that it did not kill outright, it left the remainder stunned and helpless, sufficient that even in a fairly dire state, we were able to put the rest of them to rest and out of Emon's immediate concern. But the pillars remain, and they remain as a vulnerability, and something that probably should be explored and addressed.
I'm sure the Ashari of Vesra and Terra would be glad to help.
I think your small audience is wrapped and could not, and are just shocked by the tale you have to tell. And I think Wyatt finally cuts the silence. As there's you finish the tale, and they're all just shocked by what they have heard, and fully believing in rapture thought. I think Wyatt sort of interrupts and says, "Yes, no, I'd agree completely. I would be shocked if your patron wouldn't get in touch with you just as soon as Xander manages to make his way to the palace. And you should share this tale with her. Couldn't agree more that some specialists in the Ashari, most certainly, and I'm sure many would like to hear of this and be able to lend a hand. Wow. What a tale. And then in the end, Bahamut came to you with the Platinum Dragon.
Indeed.
He brought us
Okay.
home. He brought us home.
They just told Ray notes again, sort of this reverence. Beverly does too. They're definitely shocked by the tale. I think Brandy's long been served, by the way, if anyone that's the matter. And I think Emma will say, well, it sounds like you could all use some rest, if I'm not mistaken. And Wyatt goes, oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, you probably should all get some rest. Is there anything me or my father could do for any of you at the meantime? The Master of the Arcane will be informed by Xander as soon as possible. But is there anything else that we could do?
I think until a smaller group is informed, we should keep this information close to our chests. One of the things the Ashari of Terra deal with, and she's going to look at Glint and just kind of duck her head a little bit, is the repercussions of overmining in a very localized area.
What you're saying is they dug too deep and too greedily?
I'm not. I think what we need to talk about is Emon. And
I feel
Emon,
oddly attacked.
No. It's just that Emon is sitting on sort of a honeycomb that should be assessed by engineers and people who understand structural integrity and such. It should be shored up before we let others with more capitalistic interests, because there is an enormous amount of azurite, which, aside from my understanding being illicit, is everywhere.
I think Papa Andegarde will speak up and be like, azurite, I admit I don't know much other than that it's incredibly valuable. This could be really good for Emon. We've been in horrible debt to the League of Miracles.
Before anything is mined, we should make sure, absolutely sure, that Emon is not going to fall into the sea. Yeah? And as soon as that's done, then we can start working on taking care of our debts. I'm just saying we should put safety first.
Well, you'll want to take that up with the Mistress of Coin, I imagine. And of course, your patron, Lady Allura Vaisurin, doesn't first, but this could be a turning point for the Republic. This could be a really good thing. You might have done more good than you know of.
If they do need any assistance on the engineering end, I'm happy to provide.
Glint would be an excellent person. Individual, excuse me. Be an excellent individual. He's shown time and time again his acumen.
Well, that's excellent. I admit I am a member of the delegation of Emon, but the delegation is quite large. My power is in my vote, which does have its own power, but I have many allies, and I will pass along the sentiments as they seem well valid. And but I have faith that the Tal'Dorei Council will act with wisdom, as they always have. At which point, as we'll say, the tale went on for a little longer than in reality it did. Stretch it out a little bit. I think, Finch, you're going to receive the sending. Per an Andegarde having passed the message along, I assume you should probably message the Andegarde of the group. Finch will receive a message from none other than Archmage Allura Vaisurin, Master of Arcana. And she'll say, Oh God. She was gonna go. She's like, "Oh, I'll be respectful, but Mister or Miss." Um, and she'll say, I'm kind of pulling from Dungeons or from Dragon Age here, but she'll say, Sarah Finch. As that's kind of a more neutral, knightly way of addressing someone. She'll say, Sarah Finch, I hear you have returned from your expedition and have quite a tale to tell. I understand you must need rest, but shit. She'll send another setting. I would deeply appreciate if you and your company, or at least someone who could tell the tale quite well, would be willing to come tell as soon as possible.
So I'll like laugh at that because I'm sure like the shit gets sent. And I'm like,
oh yeah, the shit gets in there for sure.
It's always how it is. Okay. And I'll respond and I'll just say, yes, we'll send representation after rest. Speak to you soon.
Okay. You'll get another setting that says, of course, I'm certain you need your rest. Though if at all possible, the sooner the better.
Understood.
And that is what you will receive. Yeah.
Yeah. Understood. Okay. And I'll share that with the party.
Above the table, we have had long rests. I don't know what time of day it is, but
yeah, there's a role play. Yeah. Yes, there's a role play element though too. Like,
thank you.
You know, you've been in the. Well, I mean, actually, that's not true. I take it back. You guys are probably doing pretty good because if you might recall, Bahamut healed you of your wounds and your lingering injuries. So as any like, other than mental fatigue, your bodies are as sound as they were when you went on this expedition. So whatever you'd like to do.
Should we go?
I'm happy to go if only one person wants to go. I'm happy to go as a group. I do have some intestines that need to be processed in the next 24 hours. Glint, could you help me with that?
Sure. What do you need from them?
Oh, healing unguents. We can talk afterwards. But it does have to be done today.
Delightful. I can help.
Thank you.
Very specifically, in the story that Ember relates,
yes,
he is going to leave out Yvain's blindness and
understood
that piece of it, and it's by intent and design.
I understand completely.
And Yvain is grateful.
Okay, yeah, perfectly understandable. And certainly no questions are asked. Why would there be? Yeah, and you do so. But I think Wyatt certainly put up a glass and he'll say, well, here's to the Aurora Concordant for astounding bravery and the protection of all of Emon and its many thousands and thousands of lives that each regard you and require you thanks. So here's to you. And he'll raise his brandy, and your father, Finch, will say, hear, hear to that. And all will heartily sip up their drink. Why will say, well, what do we do now? I suppose we should probably leave you to go speak with the Master of Arcana. I'm certain that there's much to be done.
Absolutely. I think that's the next.
And then Emma will say, or at the very least to their rest, as I'm sure they're most tired from their travels. Why will say, oh, of course, man, of course.
Wow, we may
have a dead mother now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I appreciate the sentiment, Mom, but after what we've seen, it's necessary that we immediately share this with the powers that be so they can make safe the underpinnings of Emon.
I see.
We don't know how those aboleths nor their leader came to be in Silar, but they were able to do so with none of us being any the wiser. And doom was not far off.
Goodness. Well, if you think so, Ember, but you come home straight away after. You'll take
Yes,
some
ma'am.
time to yourselves after. You don't give too much. It'd be very honorable and all, but you have to take care of yourself too.
Yes, ma'am.
And with that, you guys will all sort of begin to rise. It sounds like you're going to go ahead and go, talk to the powers that be, as it were. As you go, Finch, you'll get another tight fatherly hug from Gabriel. And he'll, when it's just sort of, he'll just kind of give you a hug until people leave you alone. So it might be even like a little longer than is comfortable, but he'll pull you back at that point. And he'll look you in the eye and he'll say, "I'm proud of you, Finch. I'm very proud."
Thank you, Father.
And so, all right, on with you now.
And I'll go and Beverly, come on.
Oh, of course. Right away. Yep. Sorry. She like puts down her sandwich, and she'll
Like an egg salad.
yeah, pretty much. And she'll run after you. No, she's in my brain. She's tiny, but she's not. She's probably taller than Glint. Actually, she's growing up.
Yeah.
But yeah, she follows along, and you guys can all mount astride your steeds and make your way to Cloudwatch Palace. Man, I told myself to update. I like wrote a little note in my to-do list to update Cloudwatch Palace, make the interior a little cooler, but it kept being one of those. They're not done the quest yet. I'll do it next. I'll do it this week.
Always time until you run out of it. Yeah.
There's always time until there's no more. Exactly. Coronos, you bastard. But anyway, that will be. You guys will ride up. Let's see if you are anything interesting happen. Cool. Anything interesting happens on the road to the palace. Let's see if anything particularly cool does. That is going to be. Come on. Let's see what happens here. So, nothing interesting happens. Because there is like an urban random encounter chart, but it's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. It's like water weirds and will-o-wisps and crocodiles. I'm like, what the fuck? So I think I'll roll the urban encounters, but if they're too ridiculous, then nothing happens. Maybe they're right under your feet in the sewers, crocodiles. But regardless, you make your way to Cloudwatch Palace. You dismount. You find your way within. In the main, you'll probably brush shoulders with Xander on the way out, Finch. Who gives you a good nod. On the way in, you'll encounter the rest of your brothers, Antero and oh shit, and oh wait, hang on.
There's too many.
There's so many of your brothers. Kingsley. So Wyatt and Wyatt and Xander were there originally. So you brush shoulders with Xander, who gives you like a nod and continues on his way. But you will catch Antero and Kingsley. Antero sort of was like Finch, and very excitedly he'll like run over to you, a big brotherly hug and pat your back, almost like a little too disruptively.
Right.
And he goes like, "Heard you saved the day. Perfect."
That is a way of putting it. We saved something, that's for sure.
Kingsley will say, "You okay? Are all of you all right?"
Yes, I feel like that's a very subjective question. Physically, we're all good.
Yeah, not really. If you're not, I mean, bodily harm isn't very subjective.
That's correct. You asked if we were all right, and the answer is yes. What I was getting at is physically, yes, we are all doing well, but the sights that we witnessed and I'll just like pause a little bit and
Antero will say, "Nothing's too much for a knight of the." What does he say? He says, "Nothing's too much for a proper paladin of the Platinum Dragon, right? You got him at your back. You don't need to be fearing of anything."
This is true. You are correct, and I'm sure you've heard by now. I'm not certain if it's been whispered down the lane, but he did appear to us.
And it certainly has not as of yet. So the two of them are shocked. And Antero goes, "You saw him? You saw him? You saw Muhammad the Platinum Dragon?"
We did. I almost didn't believe it myself, and I would have thought after everything it was a hallucination. Words are hard. That I was making it up on my own fruition.
Antero goes, "Oh, so it is you who took the mental scars, huh?" Like,
probably. But he appeared not only to me, but to my compatriots as well. And he brought us home.
Antero kind of looks around. "Oh shit, I haven't received any kind of vision or like," and they definitely like touch their things. And more jokingly, he's like, "Shit, I haven't received my vision. What am I doing wrong?" Wyatt goes, "That's an incredible revelation. You should go to Temple, Finch."
It is on my list. We see council with Allura, and then we'll be, or I won't bring them along, but it is my intent to go to the palace and see.
Antero leans over to Kingsley and says, "Yeah, I'm gonna tell Hina." He goes, and Kingsley can't help. He's like, "Oh yeah, she's not gonna kick it out of that." And then Kingsley will kind of see your party maybe being like, yeah, and he'll be like, "All right, Antero, leave him alone." And we'll sort of pat your back, be like, "I'm sure you got someone to report to. We'll talk about it later, all right?"
We do. Sounds good.
All right. Antero says, "We'll have a drink on you, Prophet." And the two of them, Kingsley drags Antero down the hall. With that, you will make it to the chambers of the Master of Arcana, Allura Viceurin. The doors are open to you, and you see her many workers working away. As you enter into the hall, they all kind of see you all, and they will all sort of, there's not too many of them. There's probably like 4 or 5 of them. We'll sort of like gather their things and leave as they immediately know this would be a private conversation. Allura stands up and with some like, I don't know, movement, shall we say, moves to all of you like from behind her desk. She'll say, "Welcome back. You, from what I hear, you have quite a story to tell."
Right. Ember told a very, very good version of this about an hour ago. Would you like the shorthand or the good version?
I certainly would like the very detailed and sure, good version of this works too.
Then
Please. She'll
take it away.
gesture, some seats will almost magically move into position. Not almost magically, will literally magically move into position. And she will sit down and make eye contact with you, Ember, and will raptly listen as you. I won't require you to redo the performance check unless you'd like to retell it in a different way, but you can certainly tell the same tale as told.
Absolutely the same tale as told, including the unknown status for Dormitage.
Understood.
Which I probably would have glossed over as well.
In the original telling.
Yeah. In the original telling.
Okay, no problem. She will hear and listen raptly, nod the whole while through. Maybe even you'll see a mage hand just like scrolling away off to the side like a scribe. She listens.
And because I can,
Yeah.
as we come across things, yeah, I minor illusions a cantrip.
And as you have only told the tale less than an hour ago, just retell it with the same detail, accoutrement, and even extended details. She gets the director's cut. Again, her mage hand is just in a flurry off to the side, page being turned over page, she's getting a full accounting. And she'll say, this is quite a lot.
And when she's done, Yvain's going to look at Ember and say, now show her the rest.
Okay. At which point it will be, Yvain's countenance, San's eyes, the cascading, the cascading scream that just stunned.
The Master of Arcana will be quite surprised. Lean back in her chair. The mage hand does not stop. It's like on fire, almost just like the amount of detail it's going for. And she'll take like a genuine pause. She'll just like briefly just like stop and just like digest everything she's heard. She'll say, well, this is certainly a mostly good news situation, which I'm very happy for. By the gods, where to begin? I suppose I should begin with thank you. You were sent to investigate. Investigate you did, and I dare say went above the call of duty. And that will be well regarded. Thank you very much. I will say in the telling of that tale, because it was so detailed and there's good notes, she will note something to you. She'll say, and I do want to put forth, I think you may have lost time down there somewhat. You said you believe it's the 27th of the month. It is only the 22nd.
You lost 5 days?
You left about 2 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, you left. You accepted my patronage about 2 days ago. And oh no, sorry, more than that. About 5 days ago. But I think you just have your dates mixed up on the calendar or something. I think that would be quite a kind consequence of some of the things you've encountered. In fact, these sisters Gratz, I've heard of them before. I am surprised to hear of them, and interestingly benevolent, it seems, at least somewhat trustworthy in their dealings, or at least there was a very cunning hand in the making of that deal and confronting them, which I congratulate you. I admit I am somewhat ashamed. All of this has been happening right under my nose. This is my responsibility. I'll have to, there will have to be immediate investigations. We'll have to work up some kind of spell to counteract the effects of the unseen city and perform surveys underneath to assess the strength of the, talk to the master. And she just kind of starts dribbling off.
If I may recommend.
And to that end, in addition to what Yvain's going to suggest, there is a tag on the location currently right now that has some of my blood, and I'll gesture to Yvain's Shield of Western. and the twin to that, and for the time being, it should be in the immediate vicinity. It was encased in a block of ice and sent as close to the surface as they could get. So that should give you the ability to foresee the location and perhaps pinpoint where
If someone's got a
that
locate,
is.
if someone has a locate spell, I can fly over.
I would like to say I think you've all done magnificently. And what happens now, I suspect, is more cleanup and assessments. And I expect that your talents are better utilized somewhere else. And frankly, this is certainly more than I thought I was having you bite off of for the first expedition. I had no thought that you would actually uncover the unseen city, let alone stop a citywide catastrophe.
Did you want a map? Ember can write you a map.
Speaking of, we did lose our employer. Not
yes,
and that is
yes.
not an euphemism. I was just wondering if he popped back up.
No, we didn't lose him as much as when we were in the thick of battle, he dimension doored elsewhere. There's a total difference.
Right.
Yes, I recall.
Let me adjust for the common tongue. We were abandoned by.
Yes, that's better.
Yes, fear can claim the heart of many. And I certainly do not count that against any of you, if that is your concern. Everyone has their own level of, shall we say, grit. And I'm sorry to say there are mages that do not have much of it. And Jormantosh found his better down there. And perhaps he will turn up. And we will be seeking him out regardless. There is a possibility that he died down there. But there's also an equally large chance that he made his way back to the surface. And we'll hear from him quite soon. And regardless, we will track him down, and to give you all peace of mind, I have every intent of bringing this up with the inner council of the Tal'Dorei Council, and we're going to meet up this matter. We're going to follow up and ensure the structural integrity of things. We're going to create a counter charm. We're going to perhaps perform a more wider investigation. Things will be taken care of on our end. So. I don't want you all to worry about that any longer. Your investigation there and your reporting back has been of a citywide importance, let alone the actual good deeds you did down there. So you have my miraculous thanks. I will need to, I hope you don't mind, I will need to take a day or two to think up a good reward to possibly compare to the good you have done. What I had in mind originally is simply not going to compare. You look remarkably troubled, Yubei.
Yeah. On a few points, a couple of things, if you don't mind. First of all, if we write a requisition for a scroll of sending that Glint could learn, I feel like we should have been able to communicate more directly than. I feel like that might, and we did try to contact you in a dream spell, but your dreams had a do not disturb on them, so. We weren't able to convey any information to you that way.
Yes, I'm afraid that will be continuing as such. You'd be surprised how many unsolicited messages the Master of Arcana receives from across Exampia. So I'm afraid I'll have to keep that going while I am trying to sleep. But regardless, you are more than welcome to go purchase a sending. I was led to believe that you sent a requisition form for, I believe it was a scroll of some such?
For water breathing, all right, so then we know how to do that. Also, I feel like I need to talk to you about what happened, and maybe maybe nobody else needs to be here, or it doesn't matter, but I didn't cast
Pact.
a spell.
Yes, you made a pact.
Yeah.
Yes. I have every intention of bringing that up. I simply want to just matter of time. There's quite a bit on the plate here, but yes, we should speak on this matter. But so as it is, please. I will say it sounds like you didn't spend much time trying to gather anything or further excavating Silar. I want to assure you that I have every intention of giving you all a large fraction of the sum of any treasures found within the depths of Silar once an expedition can be made. This azurite could be the saving grace of all of the Republic to pay off our debts to the League of Miracles. So we will be, I have no doubt, sending expeditions down the Crystal Fen Caverns immediately. I need to call an emergency session with the council to address all of these matters. We will speak, Yvain, very, very soon. But I must see to the good of all the Republic before the good of one. So is there anything else that you wish to add to the telling of your expedition as of now?
Well, actually, there
Yes.
may be advantage when you're sending the folks, particularly to the mine precursor to the Crystal Fen Caverns, to bring Karzi. He established himself as the Lord Mayor to the kobolds who were there.
He goes, "Oh yes, I am here. Yes, you should bring me."
It may obligate loggerheads.
Excellent point. And she'll look to Karzi and say, "Would you be?" And by the way, it is a pleasure to meet you. I've seen your work around Emon. He goes, "Oh, thank you so much, dear." And she'll say, "Well, thanks. Would you be interested in undertaking such a delve back into the mines?" And he says, "Well, I wouldn't want to snub my civic duty and all." Which is well, very well. I will. Excellent, most certainly. And so it shall be. Thank you very much for the recommendation, Mr. Emon. I intend to find a more suitable reward to all of you than what I originally had in mind. But in the meantime, is there anything off the top of your heads that you might require or that you would ask for as part of this reward? No?
I have one, but it's entirely of a personal nature. Not really of monetary value, just one of time.
That's quite all right.
You stepped back in recent years from your position in the Arcane Pensophical. Would it be possible to arrange a meeting with someone who hasn't?
I see. I have stepped back. You are quite right. I hold currently the rank of guide, which is there's two ranks in the Arcana Philosophical. There are guides and there are makers. The makers are those who run the faction, and then there are the guides, and the guides are everybody else. So if you wish to make contact with a maker, I can certainly see to that it is arranged if you wish. Is there anyone in particular or of a particular skill set? Is there something that you're looking for specifically?
I'm simply looking to discuss what I've always been looking to discuss. I figured I would be more upfront and simply ask you directly on the sending me to a proper channel.
Well, there are a number of makers. I think the ones that I can think of that would be the most suitable for what you wish to discuss I might suggest, look, Magnus is a tutor. Cianor is a tutor. Gloria is all the way up in Vasselheim. Rin's God's nowhere. I could recommend Yorick is in Singorn. The makers are obviously quite far afield and all are rather busy. Well, let me ask you. I'd be happy to pass something along to any of the makers. There is, like I said, Enchanter Windspeaker, who actually created the guild. He is facilitating our reputation in Singorn. And then there's Seer Gloria Eos, who is the most prominent diviner in all of Exandria, who's in Basel. Honestly, I think those two would be the ones to speak to. Which one would you prefer? I could send a missive along.
I suppose a fair measure of that depends on the availability of the Concordant in terms of where we're going next.
I do not believe I could convince them to travel to you, but if you wanted to seek them out and find a meeting, I understand your research is quite important to you. They have duties to attend to.
Well, we do have a standing invitation to Singorn. So I think that's probably the easiest to arrange.
Well, I might put it forth. I had already in my mind thought to loan you out one of our airships. I imagine after such a debilitating expedition that perhaps you might appreciate a little vacation. And I'm told that airship, well, I know airships travel to be quite pleasurable. So maybe there's a little vacation in your future. Is there anywhere that the Aurora Concordant had been interested in visiting?
Livenborn.
And Vasselheim.
Vasselheim. Well, both are one's rather further than the other. By all means, let me know what your plans are. Maybe I can help facilitate them. Maybe that might be part of your travels. So why don't you take some time and think about what it is you wish to do with yourself in the foreseeable future. But obviously, I'm going to find myself quite busy dealing with Silar, so it might be a good time for a little vacation. And I'll see if any of the other of the council might have need of your services. I'm sure they will be quite surprised by your capability. See if we can find you still some more work in the meantime, if you wish. Take some time, figure out what you wish to do with yourselves. A little vacation, a little more work. I can always, like I said, talk to other members of the council and figure out your plans, and I will figure out a suitable rewards by tomorrow at the latest. And perhaps your travel plans might be part of that.
Sounds more than fair to me.
Very well. If there's nothing else, then perhaps I might have a word with you in private then today.
Absolutely.
You will step forward.
She'll nod to all of you and says, "We will be speaking quite soon, Aurora Concordant. Once more, you have my deepest appreciation, and ample reward is well on the way. I suggest you all have some drinks tonight. Have them on me. It'll be part of your reward at the very least."
Of course, do take care. And Glint will shuffle one out.
I think she'll actually do that. She'll go into her desk and she'll pull out a pouch of like 10 gold. That's just like a starter. She'll be like, "Here, like, have fun tonight, and we'll talk about the rest of your reward tomorrow. Just have fun."
I feel like we're getting a lot of mom energy right now.
She's like, "I want to reward you, but frankly, I don't just have a reward suitable laying around, so I'm gonna have to organize." Yeah, she was like, "Hey, could you guys go run to the corner store and then you killed Satan?" And he's like, "Well, I'm gonna have to get you something better than the $5 I was gonna give you. So give me a minute while I pick that up."
You know something? She took our order. She put the bread plate down. It's cool.
Yeah. All right. So if the Aurora Concordant steps out, Yvain, you'll be left in the office. Karzi will make some comment of, oh, further work. We're gonna get connections way up high. I didn't know that you knew of Lore thy sword. And probably did, but it's fine. And that'll be the conversation on the way out. But Yvain, you'll be left in the chambers, and Allura's face will sort of not harden, maybe soften even is in the word. Maybe you detect a little, I don't want to say pity, but certainly concern behind her eyes. She'll say, so, it was my, it was to be my point to thank you for turning in the astral scroll, and to apologize for my my shock. It's not every day that you hire some people from around town, they hand you an artifact of such dangerous power. So my apologies for maybe not being earnest enough in my thanks.
I really tried to get rid of it. I never sought it out. But it did save us. And I feel really conflicted about what I've done. It asked for my eyes, not my sanity, not just my eyes.
And that is how it always starts. And she'll sort of rise and kind of find the window, and she'll say, how much do you know of the story of the Sightless, of Clemaine Astral?
A bit. He wanted to end the War of the Gods. And so he went skipping across the plains and found the Sightless, who was supposed to give him the power to end it all. But he went crazy, killed thousands, and ended up having to be killed, literally burned alive in his tower at Radis. In the time in between, he wrote thousands of scrolls. The early ones were mostly benign works on astronomy, artificing, etc., but towards the end grew more and more unhinged.
That is largely the story. But those of us who have studied that event would know the specifics, which I feel you deserve to know. In most part, you have it right, and those tales indeed are right. In the Age of our Column, the Archmage Clemaine Austral sought to end the Scattering War, or excuse me, I got my history mixed up. It was not during the Scattering War, which is a point of contention. It was during the Age of our Column it sought to end the calamity, and thus sought out means, as you said, and nobody's really sure if he actually went plane hopping, but he did indeed find contact with the otherworldly power from the realms beyond, if you know what those are, and that entity being the Sightless one. And he created the Austral Scrolls, legendary writings containing incredible powers. No one has actually, I guess, other than you, Yvain Starborn, at least not in common knowledge, have peered these scrolls since the defeat of Clemaine. There is some readings into the scrolls that say that the entity's words when greeting him were, I believe the quote is, "I am the Sightless, will you not lend me your eyes?" was what he said when he greeted Clemaine. The astral scrolls were supposed to be quite vague, as I'm sure you possibly know, about the powers of the Sightless, but they allow you to call upon them by lending the eyes. The Sightless one holds many names: the Borrower of Eyes, the Lurker beyond 1,000 Eyes, and several others. But Austral willingly relinquished his own sight to the Sightless in exchange for his magical powers, and gained all the powers he ever wanted. But what the crux of it, the deal was, is that without eyes, he needed a guide. And thus the Sightless one described the world to him. No longer did he rely on his eyes to get around, but on the words of the Sightless one. And his words were so horrific in expression and difficult to interpret that he quickly lost his grip on reality, which required his old friends and heroes of the time to slay him, indeed, in his tower, and scatter the scrolls to be sealed away, so that none may make contact with that creature once more. And that is where we find ourselves, Yvain. You are in a unique position where it sounds like you did indeed relinquish your eyes, but seem to have some grip on reality and indeed still seem to have your eyes. More than that, you... Go ahead.
I didn't. He took them for a while.
You didn't at any point agree to relinquish your eyes to the entity. It just took it from you.
No, I agreed. But I have them now. And you can see them, and I can see.
Yes.
But there was a period of time when I did not, and I could not.
Yes. Well, Yvain, as I'm sure the story describes, when you lost your eyes, you gained access to his abilities. Maybe I could not possibly begin to describe the experience. I'm a wizard after all. You'd be probably better off talking to your friend Ember, as I might understand that he indeed is a warlock. Maybe he might be able to empathize with what your experience was a little better, or maybe not at all, but different from account to account. But you gained access to the power of the Sightless One in that moment, and used it apparently quite effectively. But that is perhaps, if you have wisdom, and I think you do, where it would end. I would be surprised if this is the last you've heard of him. He's giving you a taste of what you could have. I'm in a tricky position today, where you have caught the, I won't say eyes, but you've caught the attention of a remarkably powerful and insidious being that's not been heard from in many hundreds of years. But you have a debt that we owe you, remarkably so, for the good you have done. I hope I do not offend in admitting that under different circumstances, perhaps there might need to be some more extreme measure taken, but after what has happened recently and the good folk you have around you, I'm unsure that that is the best thing to do.
Are you familiar with the Claret Order?
Yes, I am familiar with them. They are sort of a cultish group that uses ancient magics to... the reports are scattered to do good or to do bad.
They're essentially monster slayers. Maybe the easier way. What if I put a bounty out on myself?
A bounty out on yourself?
In other words, if I ever do anything awful, there are priests there that could essentially metaphysically shut me down. It's a safety, if you will.
It's not so much worry about being able to defeat you, Yvain. When worse comes to worse, there were heroes in the Calamity who were able to take the man down to main astral, and we have a repertoire of martial and magical capabilities at our beck and call, least of all your own friends. The worry is the damage you do before we could take you down.
I understand.
Vecna was slain. I not mean to compare the powers you gained to the powers of a god, but to try and let everything go too far to head. But you are quite powerful, and will have the power to reap untold destruction. I urge you to think of your friends, because they will be the first of your casualties, Yvain. They'll be the first of your victims if you fall down the path. Rest assured, and I am sorry to say, But should I lose confidence in your abilities to do good and to maintain this issue you have, as there are many magic users with strange relationships with stranger entities, the arcane of Panasophical can keep an eye on you. And should we fear that you are more of a danger than a boon, drastic measures will need to be taken, I can understand.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Would you do me the favor of sending Glint in on the way out?
I will. At any given time you feel I should sequester myself, I will.
I appreciate your integrity. Thank you.
And I will even go send Glint in.
Before you leave, she'll, as you kind of are halfway out, she'll say, Yvain,
Yeah.
you saved Emon. You have my deepest thanks. You are, from what I can tell, a very good person. And I have faith in you.
She will get up and walk away.
Okay. Yvain walks out going, Clint, I need to talk to you.
Yeah, probably. That's probably exactly how she does it.
Will you be all right?
Yeah. I probably need a minute. I'm gonna go bury myself in carrion crawler intestines. I'll see you in a bit. It'll be a good time.
Certainly.
So weird.
I'll be elbow deep right behind you in a short order. And Glint will head on in.
Head on in. You head on in, and you get the look from a. What's your insight? What's your passive insight?
11.
11. It'll be enough. You've received this look too many times from mage-like scholars. This look of like bracing, as you maybe have formed a bit of a reputation.
Mm-hmm.
And you approach. She'll say, "So, Mr. Grimhelm, reward is required. You have all done very good works, and I'm more than happy to pass along a letter of recommendation to either of the makers that I suggested. I would do more. I would seek to have your membership in the Arcana Panasophical as a guide."
My membership.
Yes, and I would say, before you either get too detested or too excited, the god, I don't wish to assume, but there would need to be an understanding, which would need to be an understanding regardless, but I want to let you know what it is you may be garnering here. This recommendation to become a member of the Arcana Panasophical does not necessarily validate your work. Isn't to say that it might not be in the future. I'm not saying that I am strictly opposed, as all magic requires exploration. We are wizards after all. But it isn't permission. But it is certainly, I imagine, an opportunity to get your foot in the door and hope that things go well for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I would wish you the best of luck with that. But what is most important that I'd like to put forth is that you would be required, like any other mage of the Arcana Panasophical, to uphold the truth of magic. Do you understand what I'm asking you?
I do. You are asking me to enforce it. And I imagine, given the company I keep, you would be asking me to enforce it in case of emergency.
Yes.
Is that correct? Right.
Yes. Your group I sense from you a deep desire to do good, all of you. And you have done great works already. You were mentioned to be sealed if you decided to stop adventuring now. For that reason, Miss Starborn, I wish to have her continue to do those good works under the supervision of the Tal'Dorei Council, but more importantly, under the supervision of the Arcana Penasophica. And who better than yourself?
Whew.
If you're uncomfortable, I can attempt to reach out to someone else to keep an eye, but you would have better eyes than any other.
I mean, of course I'm uncomfortable. I would be lying if I said that I was perfectly all right with the notion of being the blade over a companion's neck.
I, of course, understand, and I, to be clear, I'm not insisting that you do indeed be the blade on her neck, but the one that calls upon the blade, if we're to continue with the metaphor. I'm not asking you to be ready to slay your friend, but I am asking you to have integrity. That should things come to worse, you be ready to make the call.
I believe that I can do that.
Make me a persuasion check, if indeed it is a persuasion check.
Oh, use my inspiration on that. That was a 7.
Right. This can be a deception if Glint doesn't think he has any intention of informing.
Deception's not really Glint's style. That's going to be a 16.
16. She'll smile at you and she'll say, I'm aware that this could perhaps cause some negative feelings if shared upon. So if you wish to keep that portion to yourself, or if you wish to speak to your companion about it, I leave that in your hands. But I will simply say, Glint, that this conversation will simply, if asked about, will be kept to your possible membership. I understand what I'm asking is no small thing.
I appreciate your discretion. I will, of course, need a little bit to fully muse on the specifics of how much I want to address it with those I walk beside. But
Well, take a day, take some time to think on it. If that sort of responsibility is for you, it would be expected of you. You get your foot in the door for your research, but there would be that expectation. And if not, that is all right as well. And you will have to decide which of the makers you wish to speak to. So maybe you tell me if you've made your decision to possibly join our ranks then.
I'll have a proper answer for you by tomorrow.
Thank you. And with that, you can find your way out. And you all unite in the hallway. Actually, Allura will leave with you. She'll say, now I am quite late for a meeting that I called, and she will walk out with Glint and will give you all like a brief but courteous nod as she quickly walks through the halls of the palace towards an emergency meeting with the Tal'Dorei Council.
Well, hello, friends.
Well, that has all of the reporting bits done.
Right.
I don't understand time. But I feel like we only have like 20 hours to process 10 hours of intestines into healing unguents.
It's a
And
good thing
they're
there's two of
very,
us then.
very unusual healing unguents. So we should get on this.
Of course.
I, I, I have a unseen servant that would be more than happy to help. Cart this, whatever. Drag this, whatever.
Hey, I'll take it. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Because the voice the random voice that occasionally speaks to all of us said that it was all kinds of healing stuff, but it had 2 days.
Right. Well, while we work through the guts, I'm hoping to pick your brain a little bit, so that all works just fine with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I was hoping to, actually.
So, Yvain, you guys can hurry back to the rousing spark and dive your hands into the quickly growing, smelly intestines of the carrion crawlers. I am going to officially post a handout of the site for this one, as you guys know the full story by now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I gave you guys a handout of the dude you just wrecked, so that's cool. But anyway, moving right along, I'm gonna go open up my dissection thing. Ooh, I need to make you a handout for the Aurora Concordant, but I'll do that in a minute. So let's see here. These are the carrion crawling guts, yes?
Yes. Oh, I've got it all written down. I've got it if you needed it.
Oh no, that's all good. I've got it up already. I just wanted
All right.
my own reference. Okay, so you're going through the intestines. Yes. They feed off of dead, rotten flesh. Harvesting the carrion crawler's intestines can be a very revolting task, but you have achieved it. Unique digestive system that is uniquely adapted to overcoming various diseases and poison, and then they can be used as salves, toxins, and potions. Okay.
So I have herbalism, he has alchemy, and we have an unseen servant. So £10.
Fantastic. Let's see what we can make with those. Why don't you two make me proficient intelligence checks to see what you can think of to create.
Alrighty. That's a 25 for me total.
25 in total.
Okay, that's not as good, but not bad. 17.
Nice.
That will do just fine for many things. The first and foremost is you can very easily use this to make antitoxins. A non-magical vial of liquid that grants advantage on saving throws against poison for 1 hour. There's plenty of mundane things you could make with this, so the anti-poison, antitoxin being one. You can make a number of healing potions as well, probably. I'd say that you could go so far as that if you wanted to use these, you could probably make let's say
I have that primer in my room. I don't know where this was going on. I figured she would invite them into her room since she has all of her herbology stuff set up there. You don't have to go there, but like because she does all of the baths and everything for Zarvolg, and she has her aspirin shit that she does. So like she's always got a little herbology thing kicking in, etc.
So I would say you can make a number of healing potions out of these. There's a number of antidotes and antitoxins that you can create with this. No, that's healing. So if I want to get specific about that, fortune speed, you can make a potion of a potion of vitality. That is a very rare potion. It removes exhaustion and cures any disease or poison affecting you. And for the next 24 hours, you regain the maximum number of hit points by any hit dice spent. So you could make a potion of vitality with this. Would probably be like the most biggest, baddest thing you could do with this thing, certainly. And because you already have the
Alright.
intestines, you could probably make it for half the price.
What would
Same
the
amount of
half,
time, but half the price.
what would the half price be?
Ooh, let's go find out. It's a consumable, so it's half the original magical creation price.
Mm-hmm.
And then because you already have the carrion crawler intestines, it'd be half the price. So it's going to be a quarter of original. I'm sorry, I'm rambling.
And we have 10 pounds of intestines. So how many potions can we make with the 10 pounds? Because that sounds good. That sounds like a good thing to have.
You can make one potion of vitality with these, because it's not the intestines themselves, but like the stuff you scrape out of it. But if you wanted to go like lower on the grade, you can make more. So
Let's
a
get a scraping goo.
So a very rare potion of vitality would be, it would cost you an additional 5,000 gold pieces.
Ooh.
And it would cost you in time. It's going to be.
I think we got a paladin right there for diseases, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
Maybe we sell the. Maybe we just make regular healing potions out of them. Holy cow, 5,000 is the cut rate?
But it's okay, it's caffeinated. It cures exhaustion.
It's caffeinated. It cures exhaustion. You can probably get this baby done in, I would say, we'll call it 12 work weeks.
No, but we don't have that kind of time. I think.
Well, here I will throw out there. You could invest in this. You could invest the 5,000 gold, hire some alchemists to produce this, give you the potion, and you sell it. And you sell it for certainly more than you're buying and you're making it for. Probably double.
I feel like that's an Ember question. I mean, I'm down.
Yeah, you make 5,000 off of that, because you've already got the intestines.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it depends. You could probably get it for even more than that. And hey, it helps to have a potion of save this important nobleman in your back pocket. So nobody really likes the price or whatever, but when you think about what you could do with it, you can either turn a large profit or possibly save someone's life with it. But again, if we wanted to start going down as far as the abilities of this thing,
would something like a Keogtum's ointment be possible?
a what? A Keogtum's ointment? What's that?
Yeah. I might be mispronouncing it horribly. It's like a ungent kind of applied salve, or ointment that you can apply to someone. It heals a little bit of hit points, cures poison and disease, has a limited number of doses.
Oh, the restorative ointments, the uncommon restorative ointment.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, you could absolutely make that.
Is that?
Yeah,
That does a lot of the stuff the other one does, but
I admit I've literally got like the magic item charts out. I'm just like going down the list of potions. But if there's like wondrous stuff that you think could do the job too, please let me know. Please.
yeah, I mean, it probably wouldn't quite smell like aloe, but
it would not smell like that.
it would.
I do say.
Cure what ails you, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, if there's magical, wondrous item ointments, then absolutely, yeah, it could absolutely make the. I'd say it could make like. I'd say you can make a couple of them. I'd say like, let's call it 3 of them. What do you say? You can make 3 of these restorative ointments.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, those are uncommon, so those will get made. Those are much easier to produce. So because it's a consumable and you have the item, that'd be 50 gold to produce, and because it's consumable, it'd be 5 days to make.
Pretty good for the value, I'd say. Will you want to do that?
I feel good about that. Ember? You like it? Yeah. All right, so...
Cool.
Yes, please.
All
Oh, and
right.
if there is a point that Ember is around, but neither Finch nor Beverly are, and I have to wait for that moment without asking for it. So if it doesn't happen, if it's a roll of the dice and it never happens, it never happens.
I'm sure there is a point where you are hanging out with Ember and Finch is not there because Beverly is Ember, Finch's squire, and she is not hanging off, and she mostly hangs off of Finch's arm. So, yes, is the answer to that.
Yvain will say, so we also have this. It expires, I think, in 5 days. It can be used to make an incredible talk. I don't feel good selling poisons right now, you know, with the whole Bahamut thing, and I feel like that could put Finch in, you know, could we just give it as a gift, maybe, to Mr. Bloomsbane? He was so cool-headed and clear-eyed when the whole stuff went down with your mum, you know, and the arsehole who got a onesie.
I think that is a fantastic idea.
All right. Do you want me to give it to you and a little note, or do you want me to hand it to him myself and tell him what it does?
I let me handle the interaction.
And
Only to provide that barrier of deniability.
absolutely, and she'll give that to him and a little note just explaining what it does. And
Okay, absolutely.
all right, that takes care of almost all the consumables. The other thing has 5 more days, so
And that's a trip to the armorer.
yeah. Yeah, we've got eyes to sell and such.
Oh, armorer and Gilmore's. Gee, places that we never ever want to go visit.
Oh, what a shame. Oh no.
Oh no, not that.
No, not Gilmore's. No, please stop.
While Glint and Yvain are working through the hours of scraping carrion crawler intestines, Glint would probably bring up the meeting with Allura.
Sure.
Sorry, you'll talk with Allura. Did it go well?
You know, it went as well as I could have expected it to go. I mean, she didn't strike me down with lightning, so that's a positive.
It's always a plus.
I
Oh, go ahead.
I need a safety. I mean, there's just no getting around it. Like, there's absolutely no getting around it. I'm going to talk to Alistair later. But she's every right to be concerned. I'd rather it not be. I don't like keeping secrets. Like, I don't like feeling like I have to hide. I'm also not exceptionally proud of this, but I also don't understand why I feel badly about it, as it's just very confusing. And there's a very real possibility that I will go mad and do horrible things because my consent was twisted. So yeah, let's collar me. You were going to say you're meeting with Allura?
I think I was. Although I think it's worth saying, in the situation presented, I don't think you really made a particularly wrong decision. You made the choice you made in the moment that you felt necessary to save yourself, to save us, to save the city. I do not think that was an evil decision. I do not think that was a wrong decision. Allura spoke to me on potentially becoming a guide.
A guide? Or
in the Pansophical.
They're offering you membership. That's incredible.
It is. It's a foot in the door for getting my theses actually looked at. And possibly tacit approval, not approval, she said, but I mean, it's tacit approval. Now the caveat, I think it was implied more than explained, was that I would be keeping an eye on you.
Clever girl.
It's efficient.
It is efficient. Absolutely. I mean, if you didn't say yes, you should.
I told her I'd think on it, that I'd have an answer tomorrow. I wanted to tell you first. I don't think it would feel right to simply hide it from you. Especially never. Oh, go ahead.
I appreciate that. No.
Right. And I do want to help you in any way I can regarding this whole sightless one situation. Not that I immediately know how.
No. But she was savvy, yeah? Because
she
you caught on that what I was hearing and what you were saying were not the same thing. You caught that. So yeah.
Oh, when most people get very angry at a name, it's because they either want a different one or something else is afoot. It still took me a few good days to key in on the latter, I suppose.
It's as though all of you were suddenly invoking him over and over and over. And I've spent months not.
Mm-hmm.
It's maddening. So yeah, good catch. Thank you. Thank you.
If you have time tomorrow, I'd like to try a few things. If you're willing to be a little bit scientific about it.
Yeah, I am.
I don't expect Motivate to have success, mind. But I was hoping to go over you and your effects with some identifying magics, some spells of detection, and then try out a few abjuration-based spells. Protection from certain outside forces and creatures, guarding the space around you against certain forms of detection and surveillance, and seeing if any of them have any effect on what I suspect is either some sort of curse or a live psychic connection or twisting of your direct senses or some combination of the three.
Oh, cool. So then we can work together. So you guys are in her room, which I figure she's probably got the door open because stuff probably, I assume this smells horrible. So she's got the window open and the door open, and people can come in and out as they want to.
They've asked you to close your door. For sure. For sure.
Right. Will we have room on your conspiracy board?
If you look at the way the room is, the window is to the right of the bed, and the bed looks like Titania's bower. It's got flowers everywhere. Like she took those first 3 days and like wood sculpted and stone. Like did spell shit. So it's truity. But on the far side is her desk, and above it are all of these pieces of paper that have been stuck to it, and a lump, like a big, large drawing that looks roughly like Tal'Dorei, which you know is Tal'Dorei because here and there is like Emon, Westrom, but you will note looks nothing at all like Tal'Dorei because she canonically cannot draw. But you'll see like all of these little sticky notes all over. And so in one line, that's kind of around Western. You'll see Silvercut Crossroads, and it'll say undead. And under undead, you'll see corporeal and incorporeal. And under incorporeal, you'll see spectre and ghost and banshee. Now, a spectre is like a black little Pac-Man, if you've ever played Pac-Man, with a big Mickey Mouse hand.
Mhm.
And the banshee is the same thing, but with like a caption that says "Wah!" because it's screaming at you. But with the ghost, it's a question mark. Now, under the corporeal undead, you have the hungry, and you have the mindful. And the mindful, there's only one, and it's vampire. But under the hungry, you have skeletons, ghouls, ghasts, and zombies. And like under zombie, there's a question mark, which you'll see. There's a big thing for aboleths, some for like aberrations, but it's like this big crime board with all of these like Magic the Gathering cards she's made for everything she's ever fought. And she's going to point to all of the undead ones. And if you look at them, it'll look every like if there's a way to kill it, it's on there. And they're all around this place called Shade Barrow, which is not far from Western, roughly in the mess of the map. I don't know if you know Shade Barrow, but it's kind of a problem, and it's an undead sort of problem. And I know you've got a thing for the undead, but like a lot of them just need to go.
I agree. Your notes are quite detailed.
Yeah,
Personally, I would classify skeletons a little differently, but
Oh, all right. Well, how would you classify them? And like the mage hand comes by and we're taking notes.
Well, skeletons by and large typically do not act with hunger. They actually act according to habits. The animating force is not the soul of the deceased. It is typically threads of necromantic energy that bind and puppet, but the body retains echoes, similar to, say, a Speak with Dead effect might. So you see that most skeletons, when left to their own devices, will actually do things they did in the past. A skeletal farmer might try and till their field. They only react with hostility whenever they're drawn to a spark of life, and that is if they're not guided by a more powerful hand to restrain that impulse. But they don't actually hunger for meat or flesh or anything in particular in most cases. They simply act in accordance to whatever past echoes might impart on the remains.
Yeah, the ghouls and ghasts were hungry. I only know of a zombie as a reference. I've never seen one, nor have I ever fought one.
I've raised a few in training. They are somewhat hungry. They're not as intelligent as you would see a ghast would be, or a ghoul. Ghouls are intelligent enough to have intention. Zombies are not. They're purely driven on instinct, firing away, and their similar draw to snuffing out life. But I think there is a little more hunger there, at least. Out of character, how much does Glint know about Shade Barrow? I know a little bit about it out of character, but I do not know how much. Yeah,
maybe a history check. I'll provide you advantage as you are looking at Yvain's board of deceit, or whatever we'll call it, board of undeath.
And I think it's a +9 for me. So let me double check. History. Yep, so that's a 27.
A 27. You know a fair amount, correct? You are like you're a necromancer. You're interested in all kinds of things that have to do with undeath, and you know a bunch. You know that it is a sort of infamous undead lair in the Dividing Plains outside of Western. It is owned by some family in Western. There's actually like a legal claim to it. There's they say that it's deadly to approach, and it's impossible to enter and come out alive. you knew that it was actually once protected by druids during the Scattering War, but those druids were killed by Grassig. Smaller circles know that that sealed the place has been broken, and that whatever undeathly necromantic energies that lay within are actively seeping into the world. It's been happening for a long time, and there hasn't been major repercussions as of yet. But you also heard in local news that there is, perhaps you learned it rather recently, that the Aurora Concordant was, oh, actually, no, never mind, I take it back. There has been a lot of undeathly activity in central Emon. There was reports that there was an undead army at the Silvercut Crossroads that was heading east that the Aurora Concordant was involved in. You largely had taken it on speculation until you heard Balthazar sing about it, and maybe asked him, and he was like, "Oh," and you were like, "Oh, you were there? Okay, cool, crazy." And so you know your fair share, my friend. But you most importantly know that it is a powerful source of necromantic energy that no one has entered and come out alive. But I'll give you this, since you rolled so well. The only individual who ever has, by any note, is actually in the very tavern you were in. Camellia, this sort of undeathly looking furbolg druid, claims to have entered within and exited alive, but clearly she did not come out the other side looking the way that she may be used. So that might be a point of fascination for you, Glint, this individual who has been inside and returned alive. But you know quite a fair share.
Interesting. I've done some reading. I know typically you do not want to go into it. I know that it's full of necromantic energy. There's some sort of seal spilling that energy outwards. Is this a point of fascination for you?
Yeah, you could put it that way. So when we were coming from Zephyra to Western, we ran into it. We didn't actually go into the sepulchre, but we did get to the druid circle, enough for me to feel that the magic is horribly tainted. I've been running it down ever since. Most of the information is in the care of the Graveseer, the High Priestess of the Raven Queen in Western. But she has the location of Shade Barrow. Anyway, when we were coming here, actually, from Western, we were stopped by an undead army, actually, at the Silvercut Crossroads. And it was.
So that was you. I thought I heard Balthazar sing about it at some point.
That was us.
Interesting. Did you ever go into Shade Barrow?
No, only one individual has done that. That was Camellia. And it's taken her 350 years out of time. So she was one of the original Dawn Circle druids, and the skull that I keep with me, his name is Varys. And he was one of the druids as well. He may know what they were protecting outside of an elderly priest in Whitestone. Nobody seems to know what that seal was. I've made some guesses, but they're nothing more than that. But yeah, so this is my life's work, sort of, as it were, and carrion guts. I'd rather like to not lose my mind, so I appreciate your mindfulness. Thank you.
Of course. Your life's work, would you say that's more as a druid or as a scholar or both?
I still don't really think of myself I think of myself as a librarian. Someone who, I don't, like, what is a scholar exactly? I don't know. I feel like that's something so much bigger than I am. No, it's a druid thing. Nature feels wrong there. Like, there's a taint to it. It needs to be healed. Whatever's sealed needs to be kicked back into its own dimension and kept the hell out of Exandria.
I'm given to agree. At the very least, the seal would need to be repaired, which hopefully might solve the issue. But I am a necromancer. I simply don't believe in unregulated undead simply churned out and spat out into the countryside. That's not really good for anyone.
No, it was a problem.
Interesting. Well, you said the skull was a druid from there, the one you've been carting around.
Yeah, so this thing gives me enormous anxiety. Enormous anxiety. There's just... I understand you're wanting to identify it. So we're in my room, and the skull's not going to leave the room, and I'm going to be able to breathe, and Exandria's not going to explode. Tell you what, I'm going to ask it some questions, and you can watch how it works. And maybe afterwards you can see what it is.
Certainly.
I don't know what everybody else is doing, or if we need to switch scenes, but she'll pull the skull out and put it on her desk in front of all of her things. And the door's closed.
All right. You close the blinds, close the door. Yvain's hair falls out. She
will die. The odor.
Her eyes sink into her head, and all of her hair falls out.
It's the witch
She's
hours.
in a loincloth. It goes, yeah, and hands you the skull, and sort of caresses it as you hold it, caresses the cranium. Not all of that, but I'll say there's certainly like a crazed look in Yvain's eyes. She hands it over, this deep look of like obsession and anxiety as she like puts it in your hands, and concerningly so.
Right. Do you want me to take a look in the fiddle before you ask the questions, or after?
No, let me ask the questions first.
Right. Let me clean the gunk off then. And go ahead. I will listen and take notes if that's all right.
Please. The skull on the desk and... Hey, Varys.
The skull sort of, some of the arcane runes across the back of the cranium sort of glow in sort of a ghastly green light that sort of, that you would recognize Glint as to speak with dead enchantment, and sort of Yvain, that magic sort of, you see like in Yvain's breath, there's almost like it's almost like your breath in winter, where you kind of see your breath, but it's green and it's barely perceivable, but you catch it as if her very life force is powering the spell, which is not how it's really supposed to work, but here we are.
Will you tell me who you were in life?
You feel like a weight of your constitution is taken from you, Yvain, as you speak those words, and it ignites some more arcane runes, your life force igniting it to life. It says, I was the druid Varys, son of the archdruid of the Circle of the Sun. It was ours to protect the way into Shadebarrow, keep it sealed, keep it protected, find perhaps a way to cleanse it.
What was the seal protecting?
The more life taken from you, Yvain. It says, Shadebarrow holds many dark secrets, many considered to be out natural to this plane of existence. There is a dark force beyond, one that calls beyond life, one that defiles the very meaning to be druid, one that asks you to give life, and one that drew my own obsession, one that granted me the power to protect the circle. If only my kin would have listened to me.
Will you name the one who granted you the power?
More life spills from you. It says, I know not his name, only that he was dark and terrible, a power beyond the likes of which I had ever encountered. I never spoke to it directly, but I get the sense its knowledge of necromancy was beyond the likes of which any could have known, any mortal could have even guessed at.
I will look at Glint and I'll pull my mage hand and write, do you have any questions?
And as you look at Yvain, Glint, you will see that she is pale, her eyes are sunken, she is looking thin. You look at her and she's almost looking like one of your creations.
Ooh.
And I'm like, I can do one more.
What does the seal look like?
What does the seal look like?
He'll say, it matters not. The seal is on the door, glyphs and ruins all established by we of the druid folk. But it matters not, for I could not bring to bear power enough to save my circle. And Drassic and his ilk broke it for good. Broke it perhaps forever beyond repair. And Shadebearer's power now funnels into this world. He broke it beyond repair, more than I ever did.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna say, yeah, yes. Shit. So, and if he's going to like start handling it at this point, Yvain's going to kick back and say, I went to the library, the Alabaster Lyceum, it was weeks ago. I was looking as to what maybe it could be. It can't be Vecna. And there was only one name I was able to come up with, but no research, nothing, just a name. Orcus.
You hear in the dark, okay. Let's go ahead and have our break there, why don't 9:30 as we call upon such a nefarious topic.
It
And
did
I will
come up
say,
in that research.
I will say, as we return later in that evening, a number of chests will be brought through the door of the Rousing Spark with the seal of the Tal'Dorei Council on, and each one possessing a name. As many gifts will be imparted upon you to start.
Oh, dang.
But we'll check those out when we get back. But for now, let's have a break.